everyone. I'm Lana Zach in New York. We continue following major breaking news. Former President Donald Trump is safe, according to the Secret Service, after an assassination attempt on the presumptive Republican nominee in Butler, Pennsylvania. At least one person from the crowd was killed. Others were injured, some critically. The former president walked on stage just after 6 p.m. Eastern time, and about 6 minutes later, we heard those shots. He's since been released from the hospital. CBS News campaign reporter Jake Rosen joins us now on the phone. Jake, you were there at the rally. You spoke with a witness. I want to play that for our viewers.
Former President Trump got up. He had some blood on his face. And I don't know if that was from the Secret Service tackling him, or I don't know what that was from.
Yeah.
Screw you, news media!
How are you feeling right now?
Distressed.
Yeah.
Obvious distress among people there. Jake, tell us more about where this person was and what the scene was like.
This person, Lana, and thank you for having me on. This man was standing there looking with tears in his eyes, staring at the scene unfolding before us as press got out of their crouched stance and got back on air. His face was all red of anger, it seemed like. It was a hot day out in the sun, and he turned to me, and I just pulled my phone out and started talking, and he was on the side from where it sounded like the gunshots were coming from. It was not totally clear to me, but he did have a view just by leaning on the side of the press pen right next to where I was when the shots were fired, and saw this. And in my conversations with people on the way to the car, where I am now, safe here with security on the outside of the original security perimeter, people are angry, they're shocked. This is a family environment, Trump rallies. I know it may not seem like that to many people, but, before the former president comes on, they're singing, dancing. People seem to reunite at these things. They seem to, celebrate the former president and his accomplishments and want him back in office. This is a committed group of people. And it just seems like that sense of family was certainly disrupted tonight. And that man was just one example that I captured today. And
you certainly can understand the shock. We all felt that shock when we saw that, when we witnessed it in real time here. I have to also mention that we could hear somebody yelling about the news media as you were having that conversation, as you were attempting to have that conversation. There was a lot of anger, it seems like, that was also pointed at members of the press. We also saw, Jake, some folks in the audience who were upset and angry, as you mentioned, and looking for an outlet. Yeah, and I think, certainly for these people and where they get their news from, they certainly see Democrats and, the mainstream media or liberal media, however they frame it, or see it themselves as part of the problem in this country when things are clung on to and amplified up. We saw it after January 6th on the Democratic side, but I think this was the validation that a lot of people not wanted to, but the validation that proved a lot of people thinking maybe about the state of the country. You can hear the shrieking in the background behind you. There were people flipping us off, people trying to shake the risers. Thankfully, Secret Service and our security protected us and tried to get people out. But people turned to us and turned to the pool camera, which shot the video of the former president. They turned to all the anchors still on air. And the correspondents on air, and we're trying to shake us and yelling at us that we caused this. And certainly, that is just one part of the equation here, but that was the initial reaction of what we saw here in Butler. And Jake, I know that you also spoke with an emergency room physician who was attending somebody who was injured in the crowd. What can you tell us about that? Yeah, I saw one other reporter talking to this man, and I called him over as Secret Service was trying to escort everyone, including press, and get us to pack our stuff up as soon as we could to get out of the venue. There were tears in his eyes, too. There was blood all over his shoes and a little bit on his shirt. He told me that he did CPR on someone who was shot. He said he heard screams after the gunshots were fired and someone saying someone was shot. He said that he ran over, tried to do CPR on the person, but he said that they were unresponsive from the time he got there, that there was blood and brain matters spewed all over the bleachers, which we could see as they were finally cleared out and crime tape was set up. There was a lot of blood on the bleachers. This man was one of the heroes on the scene today, trying to do what's right. In a country that feels so divided, he was just the perfect example of trying to do the right thing when the moment's tight. All right. Jake Rosen, campaign reporter for CBS News, there at the event today. Thank you. CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi also joins us. You were there as well. I want to play for our viewers some of the moments that you captured from this event.
Oh my gosh. Okay?
Yes, don't.
We're okay.
Olivia, we can hear some of the panic in your voice. Tell us what it was like for you.
Yeah, Lana, the video captures it all. It was a terrifying moment. I was up at the front of the risers. You know, we were expecting a different kind of announcement today from former President Trump. We were expecting potentially a vice presidential announcement. So I was up there and I was waiting, and all of a sudden we heard several loud booms. And I got pulled to the ground by one of my colleagues that was there, and I pulled out my phone and I started filming, and you can hear some of the shots ringing out as they continue to hit towards the crowd. And at one point I popped my head up, and you can hear one of my colleagues say, "Get down, get down." And I continued to capture it as it was going on, and I could hear and see the crowd starting to rise a little bit. And you could see Donald Trump at the end there. He's surrounded by security as they're trying to get him off the stage, and he's pumping his fists. He's kind of refusing to go at one point, resisting going with them until, you know, the crowd cheers and he mouths fight on, and then he was taken off the stage. And in the moments after, we could hear the motorcade quickly departing the scene, and then it was just utter chaos. People weren't sure if they should leave, if they should stay. Secret Service flooded the area, cops flooded the area, and we stayed for about, a half hour after, and I could see the rest of the scene unfolding. And on the bleachers to the left of where Trump was speaking, there was blood on the bleachers. There was leftover water bottles, signs, and there was blood. And I could see police starting to unfold yellow tape, crime scene tape, to make sure that that area was roped off so that no one could get over there. And you could start to see a lot of cops coming in. And then at one point, Secret Service ushered everyone out. And this is an active crime scene that we're at right now. As I'm standing here in this field where all of these cars are, no one is able to leave. They're still on lockdown right now as we're waiting for that to lift so that people can leave. People are waiting. They're getting agitated, upset. And it's just been a very, very long afternoon into evening here, Lana.
And Olivia, we are glad you are well. We are glad that others are well, but we know that that the president, we have heard, is doing fine. We believe that there is at least one fatality. Do we know anything more about other injuries among the crowd?
Well, we could see from where we were that Trump's ear appeared to be bloody, and we could see some of the blood that was on the side of his face. It was indescribable to see the former president up on stage looking like that. I've been to dozens, if not hundreds, of these rallies, and we go through an intensive screening process. I mean, it takes sometimes hours just to get into some of these events because they go through your bag meticulously. Now, we know that this person who did this shooting, there's a lot of details we don't know, but we do know that it wasn't within the rally perimeter.
Yeah.
But it was just extraordinary to see the former president hurt like that.
All right. Olivia Rinaldi for us, Aaron Butler. Thank you.